Show, episode 53.
Your age.
Again, you do not disappoint at
Not
all.
my age. I didn't call mine. I called yours. I'm sticking with 52.
So we have multiple cameras going today, so we may want to bring these.
What's
in
my
one.
best angle?
You're good on every angle. We have two special guests today. One, our very own Faith Harmer, and also our partner in crime, the Perners from Bridge Home Inspection. So they'll be joining us. So the topic today, I couldn't remember, Pops, if I had broke this topic before. I know I say it a lot, but I just felt like it was apropos for today. And it is, we have identified the enemy, and it is us. May want to bring this one over a little, like as close to that one as possible. So we have identified the enemy, and it is us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking about not just real estate, but life. Like, we are literally our own worst enemies.
Yes, in different ways.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm getting.
That's all you're getting.
Okay, so here we go. You know, I thought about coming on today and just being quiet, because you're always saying that I overtalk.
That's not your nature.
What do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk
What do you want to
about?
talk about?
You can talk about a lot of things.
What do you want to talk about?
The election ends today. That's
Yeah.
something you could talk about.
Okay.
You could talk about iBuyer. iBuyers are always a fruitful source of
Okay.
energy. You could talk about the market, how it's ever changing.
Okay.
You could talk about agents and professionalism.
We talked about pretty much all of these.
Okay.
So, agents and professionalism. So I said we're the enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just like in life, we're also the solution. You fair on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could you think of any times growing up? Why are you looking at me?
Because I knew if I gave you that look that you'd say, is there anything in my nose?
Is there?
No,
Oh.
but I did it to play with you.
I didn't even think. I'm looking
No.
at the hair out your ear
Well,
and the
that's your
hair
fault.
here. I want to pull that out
Go
so
ahead.
bad. How do you
Go
not
ahead.
see this in the morning?
I'm blind.
Oh my God, they're like, this is, ow. Hey, can we get that one? It's terrible.
One of the advantages of age
Oh
is
my God.
that you get old. One of the disadvantages of age is you get hair from places you don't want it to be anymore.
At least it's not like back in the day when you had the horseshoe and you had this little wisp here and they used to spray hairspray on it.
That's because it was curly. The wisp was curly.
Who are you kidding? It wasn't going anywhere. It was like dust.
Then
It
I
was just-
freed myself.
Yes, you freed yourself, and so did I. I used to do this thing where when I had hair, we're totally off script. I don't give a shit. I used to do this thing. I never shaved. What? Oh, there's one person.
One. Get any ivory soap?
We'll tell that story too. But I never shaved my head, and I knew I was going bald. So he would be on the couch, and I would go like, I would be literally like this. I don't know if you can see me, but I would literally be like this the entire time, because he's got a good head. He's got a good shaped head.
No.
And I didn't know what my head was shaped like because I'd never buzzed it. So I wanted to make sure we had the same.
Finally, I
shaped
said
head.
to him, shave your head, because I
Stop
can't
touching.
stand you touching the top of my head every day to see what it's going to look like.
Yeah, remember that couch?
Yes.
Tell the Ivory Soap story about me cursing.
So to be a strict father, I used to say when he would curse, when he was like 11 or 12, and he would curse, and I said, I'm going to take that ivory soap and I am going to put it in your mouth because you're cursing, which is only a threat. I would have never done it.
Well, I didn't know this, so I said, I banged my foot or something, and I said, oh shit.
Right.
And you said, that's it.
I'm getting the ivory soap, you're done. Joking.
I believed him this time.
And he walked out of the
I
bathroom.
ran to the bathroom.
Ran, put the ivory soap in his mouth, and walked out saying, if I have to have it in my mouth, I'm going to do it myself.
And he said, you idiot. I was never going to get that dirty soap out of your mouth. And I was like, what? You were going to put it in? He goes, I was never going to do it. But I was so convinced he was going to follow through on it. I figured if it's going in, I'm doing it. So I tasted ivory soap.
Yes,
They don't even make like bar soap anymore.
Yeah, they do.
People use it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Of course you do.
Dove. Not
Dove.
ivory. Dove.
Yeah.
Like my
It
mom.
doesn't dry you out?
No.
So, let's get back into this. So, there was this thing called the danger report.
Yes.
And the best part of the danger report, well, NAR, National Association of Realtors, did
Put it
this.
out.
Probably what, like 4 years now, at
It's
least?
been a while.
And I think this is applicable Like how I said, did I say it right?
Yeah, pretty good.
Applicable?
Applicable, you're doing that
Applicable?
right. Applicable?
Applicable or applicable? What would you say? We going with applicable or applicable?
I usually say applicable.
Applicable. Applicable. We got 3 applicable, so we're gonna go with applicable. To any, it's applicable to to any industry.
You could apply it to anything.
Yeah, look at you. And basically, the danger report was about the real estate industry, and it said out of all the outside forces that can hurt the industry, the number one was realtors themselves, which basically the professionalism of realtors, right? So in your industry, regardless of what it may be, this probably is the number one threat to it as well. I mean, the whole reason why industries get disrupted is because usually there is an old guard that has been complacent, or they had like control of the industry and they've leveraged it and they refused to innovate. Would you be fair about that? Like, what about taxis?
This is the way I look. I know the taxi Uber, but this is the way I look at it. There is old guard that is afraid to embrace
Change.
But then there's new guard that embraces change that may not necessarily be good, just to jump on it.
All right, so you jumped right on the grenade, right?
Too bad.
And I've been thinking about this so much, because back to the danger report, we'll just talk about that real quick. They said it was an issue, everyone acknowledged it, and then no one did a damn thing about it. Are we fair on that?
Except quote the danger report.
Exactly. So they quoted the danger report, this is a major issue, and let's not even focus on it at all. But what you said, to innovate, what I'm seeing more is innovation just for innovation's sake. And everyone is so like, feeling like they don't want to be left out, like this is the next Apple, and this is the next Uber, and this is the next Amazon, so they just jump right into this innovation.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the innovation in this industry, what I'm seeing is, and what I'm disappointed at, and why I'm fighting it so much, is I don't see it making us better than what we already are.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I mean, we could go through it one by one. So like, is the iBuyer, the investment buyer, is it helping is it solving a problem, and is it helping our industry in any way?
For a minute few that are gonna lose their house, and getting that money is better than losing their house, or for someone that has to be out of here yesterday,
Yep.
that 1%, yes. The other 99, it is losing so much money for that homeowner that they don't realize the drastic mistake they're making for no open houses or no show, the nonsense that's involved. And even the people that run these iBuyer programs will not say that they will make more money with an iBuyer, with their company than they will with a regular.
So the nomenclature, you like that one?
That I like.
The language they use is basically, will give you a competitive offer.
Right.
Correct? So I'm cool with it if you're disclosing everything and you know what you're getting yourself into. And there are anomalies. I was walking with a buddy of mine this morning, and he sold his house open door, and he followed it the whole way. And when they sold it again, he has a family realtor who does this stuff. We're just good friends. And he said, Dave, they listed it for what they bought it from me for, so they lost money on that one.
That does happen. It's happening less and less.
Yeah.
In the beginning phases
They were
of
making
these
a lot of
iBuy,
mistakes.
they were making a lot of mistakes, and they were buying it just to get into the market. That situation today is drastically not happening.
Yeah, and you know, I'm all for innovation if it's like, one of the ancillary things that I hope this does is put realtors on their toes. Because where I do agree with the danger report, and where all these technology companies are coming in, and even though they hide behind, we're trying to make it better for the consumer, right?
Right.
There is a ton of room for the vast majority of realtors to improve.
Yeah. One of our agents yesterday at my class, an iBuyer bought his client's house, and then he's selling him a new home, and he said, just for the hell of it, what did you get? They lost $44,000 to $48,000 on the sale that was convenient, that just came and
Yeah.
bought it. And he said, if it falls out, I will put that money back into your pocket. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And the buyer, the sellers, now buyer said, well, there's nothing we could do, we wrote a contract. So, a class example, up here in Summerlin, no stress.
Yeah.
They just got that letter saying, we will buy your house. So.
I mean, if you don't understand how the real estate game works, it seems very appealing.
Mhm.
And I do blame realtors for not communicating their message more effectively as well. You know, and this isn't just, we're talking about multiple technologies, right? Same thing with these sites where the house is listed. When people call the site, right, for the listing, they think they're talking to the listing agent.
Mhm.
They're not. They're talking to someone who's paying to be on next to it.
Right.
It's a great way to get the listings out there, but you're not getting the best information possible.
The savvy buyers
Yeah.
scroll down
And
and
see.
look for the fine print that says listed by Dave Tina with your number. But the other buyers, you're right, they're calling you. And the most injustice to that is they never even went out and saw the house, so they can't answer the questions that the listing agent can.
But none of this happens if we have a professional, educated, and informed membership of real estate agents. Just talking to my buddy Dave Sanders, was on here last week, and we were basically saying, he's like, Dave, this happens in the attorney world too, right? Like you have
Of course it does.
you have attorneys that'll cut corners and are, basically go prostitution. They'll do any deal. Ambulance chasers, pay off doctors, right? And I said, Dave, I agree, but there's a huge difference between a doctor, a lawyer, and a realtor. And I said, at least a doctor and a lawyer had to pass a bar, go to medical school, they have malpractice, they have a lot more skin in the game. It isn't just a free-for-all. It's a different story a little bit. I think it's a false equivalency. What do you think? Do you think that?
I think we all could be sued except the attorneys, because they could pay for themselves, but I think that the realtor doesn't realize the liability that they take on. I'll
Well,
say it that way.
So I'm not going to bring her on, but Angie and I were talking about this, right? My wife, and the most infuriating thing for a successful realtor who treats this as their career, or a brokerage that treats it like a full entrepreneurship business, is when you hear someone say the following: I don't really know what I'm gonna do, I've tried this, I kinda like that, I think I'm just gonna give real estate a chance. Like, it's the easiest, last option on the books. Like, it's insulting. It's insulting.
And those are the people that get out. I don't even want to use the word realtor, but those are people that are out within a year or two. We had an agent pick up his license yesterday. Oh, I'm going to be a mechanic or whatever.
Yeah,
And
electrician.
it's finding the way. In other words.
Listen, I'm not against, like, in poker they say as long as you have a chip and a chair, you got a shot. So I'm all for, like,
I like that one.
a chip and a chair, right?
Yeah.
In real estate, like, I love someone who has hustle and is willing to do it and
You
is going to
bet.
go after it. Like, I'll always, and they want to better themselves, like, I'm in. But,
Well,
like,
yesterday one of our agents had a second job,
yeah,
and yesterday he quit it because after 15 years, the guy that plays baseball with your daughters,
oh,
and he quitted it. He was glowing, and I said, "You doing it?" He said, "Dave, I'm done. I made it in real estate. I have like 6 deals in the pipeline,
yeah.
and I am quitting my job." That was.
I respect the hustle. Don't
so-
even get me
and
wrong.
That's what he does.
I respect the hustle. Like, if you're all in and you're gonna work 2 jobs and you're gonna do your day job that you want to get out of and you're gonna go all in, but that's what we talk about. You could be a part-time agent, but a full-time realtor. Like,
That
if
was
you're-
me. When
Yeah.
I was a fireman.
But your clients they weren't at a disadvantage because you were only doing it. You had a backup. You weren't greedy.
No, I
So-
had a partner.
So that those people, I'm in. Let me ask you a question. Are you still proud to be a realtor?
I am, because I know what I represent, and I'm never going to be accountable for everybody else.
Very interesting way of putting it. You see, I'm proud to be in the industry,
Mhm.
but I'm not proud of what's surrounding me.
And I have learned, because I'm a little older than you,
Yeah,
I have learned that the only thing you could do is be the best for yourself.
I'm with you on that.
And I am proud that I support the name. Are there people that I'm not proud of? Yes. But I am proud to be a realtor, and I carry that name in high esteem, and I hope to take and pull everybody up with us.
You see, and I look at it, you see, we're the same, but he's more of an optimist, and I'm more of a realist. Is that fair?
Half his class is full.
Half full.
Full.
There's not even a glass. I could be a Buddhist, right?
Yes.
And I'm disenfranchised in a couple of things that the associations and a lot of brokerages, it's all about membership and collecting people.
Yes.
And that frustrates me to the highest level.
But let's talk about us.
That's why we did what we did to
Right,
this.
but what about this company? We're there to bring them in, new agent, seasoned
Yeah.
agent, make them better, make them understand. What do I do in my class? I teach
Yeah, but-
and
but
teach.
we're
And
walking
most
the walk.
people-
We're walking the
most
walk.
people want to come up and join you rather than go.
And
back.
we both have the same thing, but I believe in the thing that we control. Like we talked about this.
Well,
the
that's
reason
what we control, right?
we control. We said enough is enough. We're stopping. You know,
Right.
we're not going to be actively marketing out.
Mhm.
Like people need really like if they want to be with us, they need to find us themselves almost, get the information, and be inspired to come because we're not just going to be like, hey, whatever you want. You want to hang out your license here?
Well, we had an agent yesterday. It's a funny story, and you'll be proud of our manager. He said, I want to sell one home a year, my own, and give you the monthly fee, so you'll make money on the monthly, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to learn. I don't want to do anything. And we gave him 3 names of other real estates companies and sent them out the door.
Yeah.
And said, we don't want to be that. So we're living it. We're living it.
We're walking the walk, but the fact that like when you think about the bottom 50% that will just leverage a realtor name to nothing, like if it's too diluted a name, it loses its value. The spirit of what a realtor is, from the code of ethics and the fiduciary responsibility and what you're supposed to do to be a realtor, I'm all in on that. But like, I'll put NAR on blast. I know you're a big part of it. NAR should have 2 main initiatives, if anyone would listen. One would be raise the bar and less realtors, and the other one would be a nationwide front-facing MLS. But if you raise the bar, right, you lose membership, and then you lose lobbying efforts, and you lose money.
True and true, but what did we do in this state? We just raised the bar. We just made all the required classes be harder. We made it harder for a new agent
Until you raise the bar on the people teaching it, forget it. It's a way. It's just more hours in the classroom. Because I've sat in these rooms with some of these CE teachers, and it's like I can't believe they have a license to teach or accreditation.
I agree. Some of them are not good. Some of them are excellent. Some are great. Some are not.
So I told Angie, I said, why don't you just call yourself a consultant of real estate services?
Some people do that.
So you put yourself on a different bar,
Mhm.
completely different, because it's got, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it's just another realtor.
Mhm.
Even the way we're portrayed in like movies and TV shows, it's like, oh, here comes the realtor.
Yeah, we're not portrayed.
I'll sell your house. I'll do anything. What do you, It's like, oh, it's infuriating. And that's that post I
has
did.
some new commercials that are really good for us.
But commercials.
What are they?
Commercials.
Some.
That's what's going to solve it. So the danger point. Let's just do a commercial.
Just put me with
Oh,
Biden. Put
my
me with
God.
Biden and the record player. All right.
See, and that is why when you don't deal with the actual issue, even when it's right here,
That felt good.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's right here, you open the window, you leave it open, and when the window or the door is open even this much, what happens? You let in people who can come in with the snake oil. I'll make it better, right? Because it's not good, when really they're just taking advantage of the door being lodged open a little bit.
You sure you don't have a cold? Because you touched my head, now my forehead. There's germs maybe.
I don't, it's all
Coming.
allergies.
Okay.
I feel good.
All right. I don't want to get sick. I got too much to do.
I'm the one going to Thailand in 2 weeks, not you. Okay, so I guess we could talk about the rest with faith. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, so let's. That's our pause for you Facebook Live people, so that Faith can come in.
So you gotta have faith, faith,
Come on in,
faith.
Faith.
Here I am.
You gotta have faith.
Dave sings it best.
She does. All right.
So what
you
is
can
the
share and
subject?
go. We have been arguing about. We'll wait till they start because they gotta. But I'll give you a heads up, and we're live on Facebook here, but this is the ones that we're taping.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but I'll give you a little heads up. I'll give you a little recap for them too. We've been arguing about the danger report with real estate. It was 5 years ago, saying that realtors are the biggest threat to our profession, ourselves.
Oh,
And how are we doing enough? And how that threat and the lack of addressing it with professionalism has opened the door or a window for these Wall Street backed companies to come in and exploit
iBuyers.
it. Exactly, iBuyers
Mhm.
or whatnot. So we talked about that. We're gonna jump into you. I'm gonna use you as an example of how to do it the right way.
okay.
Sound good? You tell us when
We're ready to go.
All right.
3.
So, we have Faith Harmer with us, and let's brag on Faith a little bit. How long have you been with us? 4 years?
5.
5 years.
Yeah.
So Faith is continuously our top producer. I mean, has a very aligned team of strong women, and they're all on the same page, and they're not just doing the transaction, they're going deep with people.
Very.
Right.
Yes.
And taking care of them, not just in like a transactional way, but in a relationship way, wouldn't you say?
Well, I'll be the guy that observes, so I'll give you my point of view. Number one, I see you go in on every time the buyer comes in the room, you go in with your agent that's on your team
Mhm.
to consult and meet. You're the only person I see do that, so I'll
Oh,
start.
I didn't even know that.
I'll start there. So even though she may give it to part of her team, Faith comes in and says, this is who I am, gives a little spiel of what they do. If nothing isn't right, you could come see me too. So I watch, I'm a watcher, I watch you do that. That's that, but boy, you guys know how to have fun.
We do.
And your team is, people use the word family very loosely, and I don't, because Dave and Angie and my granddaughters are my family. But you guys are the closest to family in your team and caring and doing the right thing. I mean, you go away together, you go out together, you celebrate success together.
Birthdays,
Everything.
everything.
So for me, as the broker who's been in it 42 years, to watch your team, I'm always smiling because I know what's going on, and that, I believe, besides the hard work that you do, is one of the secrets of your team, because teams tend to fall apart,
They do.
and yours does not.
Yeah.
So congrats on that. That's my observation
Thank
of
you.
watching you all the time.
It was just something that kind of morphed,
Right.
I wasn't really, I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning with teams, kind of, you remember?
Yeah, I do. It was quite the journey.
It was quite the journey. But I obviously eventually figured it out, and it works really well. We call ourselves a girl family. And a lot of people, outside clients and stuff like that, are really noticing the camaraderie and the energy that we have. And it's not that everything's perfect. I mean, we're girls. We're going to have some of our
Yeah.
little internal issues. But for the most part, we just really care about each other, and we fix it and get back to it.
Do you feel comfortable sharing with everybody some of the cool things you've been doing recently, like the trips and?
Oh, some of the trips we've been taking?
Yeah, like where you're going and what you do in your office. I think you do it once a week or every month.
Oh, yeah,
Some
sure.
of those things too.
Yeah, so, and in fact, I was just, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I was at a top producer thing. I got invited to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and Jim
Yeah.
Long,
Right.
did. And so I kind of brought this up, and I didn't know if I should, tell people, because it's like kind of a little more out there.
We love it.
But
so,
for us, it really, really works. And I really feel like it is a key component to why we're so close and why we attract certain types of clients. So it's basically about your vibrational energy that you put out. So I read a book called The Power of 8 about a year ago, and it's about the power of 8 or more people getting together to kind of meditate or intend for others. And life ends up being like a mirror. So it reflects back to you, and her studies shocked her, this Lynn McTaggart, because as people intended goodwill, good health for others, it reflected back to them, and they were getting as much or more back than the person they were intending for. So we decided about a year ago to start that. So every Thursday we have our team meeting, and then right after our team meeting we go into the office. We have this round rug, we pull up our chairs, and Tasha puts her little crystal in there, and we turn on the doTERRA smell, and we meditate together. And we have actually outside agents from
I know.
Nest.
Yeah, because I'm looking and I see all these agents that aren't in our company.
I know.
And I'm like, what the
We're
heck
here
is
for
going?
faith.
Yeah, we're here for faith. Yep.
So yeah, they pop in here and there whenever they want to. And even our lender has come, and he's really gotten on the whole meditating thing. But it's amazing how it connects you with each other and with people outside of you. And we'll even sit there and we'll intend for the type of clients that we want, and everything. It works pretty well.
I just did a Facebook Live yesterday, and it said, you attract what you are.
Yeah.
And your business and your life is a direct reflection of what you put out there.
Absolutely.
So when him and I talk about, we're analyzing our agent's business, and you see like the type of business, the kind of business, the clients that they deal with, it is a mirror of who you are. You said it so much more eloquently than I did.
Right.
But you have hit this part of this next level path that I talk about, this transformation phase. And there's 4 phases, and the first phase is just a new agent, the second phase is the one with the systems, and the third phase is the one when you scale your team. But the 4th phase is where you're at. It's when it becomes bigger than just real estate, because you're at the top of the mountain, Faith. No, you are.
I never feel like I'm at the top, but
But like you're like top 50 agent every single quarter. Like you're running a really great team. A lot of people at that point, they need new mountains, and without a purpose or something bigger than just money in themselves,
absolutely,
they'll burn it all down. So the fact that like you're not only creating abundance for yourself, I see what the team members underneath you are making.
Yeah.
Like you've transformed their business as well. That's gotta feel good.
Really fun for me. I really like to impact and grow other women.
Yeah.
I really am about that. And again, it just morphed into that. It's not something I ever set out to do. Well, as you all know, my nickname is Mom of Faith.
Yeah.
So I just, that's something I really enjoy, watching other women blossom and grow and be able to create enough work, for more than enough work for all of us, so we can all be supported financially and then spiritually and all of those kinds of things together. And it is, for us, it is way more than just selling a home. It's a big undertaking for us, because we're not just selling somebody a home, and we, after the fact, we are lifetime, if they want to be,
of course,
lifetime friends. They'll call us for all kinds of things. Like we had a client whose husband passed away not quite a year ago, and they were raising their granddaughter. And so, for instance, she needed a babysitter, and Jessica had connected with her granddaughter, so Jessica took her to go get her nails done, or Heidi took her to go help her buy a car. Things like that, because her husband always did everything. So we're still there for them on all those levels too.
And on a broker level, because we'll look at the top 50 and the agents will go, and they'll go, ugh, can't speak to them, can't do, head in the clouds.
Different teams at different companies.
Right, different places. And I never get that with you. I go, well, who's listening? Oh, Faith. Oh, how did she treat you? Stella. She picks up her phone. She took care of us, never avoided us. So for a broker, why we love you is because you keep it real. You answer your phone, you keep it, no one says or begrudges you your position of doing well because you do it right. Because you can make a lot of money and be successful and be the biggest jerk in the world.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many realtors we go, oh boy, you're doing a deal with him or her, and it's a horror show. With you, it's always so pleasant, so real. So as your broker, I love it.
Thanks.
So
There's no, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
With you, like
Yeah.
you don't.
No, and
do
I don't
that.
like when agents do that to me
Yeah.
either. Like, you gotta go through 3 people to get to talk to them. It's like, really?
Yeah. And they're probably saying, why is she speaking to me when she's in the type 50? Because most of the people, when they reach your status, say, okay, now I'm not speaking to anyone. I'm gonna have people to do that, which is not the
I've
way.
had that a couple times. They'll be like, can I talk to Faith? This is her. This is the Faith?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Faith.
Right, so that's the beauty, you know, just same way with us with brokering, that I wanna speak to the owner of the company, and I picked up the phone because Bernadette or Danny, all 3 in a row, each on a call, and they go, this is the owner, I go, yes it is, I pick up the phone, you know.
Yeah.
You have to keep yourself level to who you are.
Yeah, there's that conversation of never arriving. Some people think, oh, I've arrived.
Yeah.
And first of all, it turns off other people.
Yeah.
Second of all, life has a wonderfully beautiful way of just slapping you in the face the minute you think you've arrived. Like it'll just
Absolutely.
knock you down.
And you
a little
never
bit.
stop learning, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. You always want to learn more. It's always expansion and growth.
I want to talk about, you put in the work. So we've seen your
Yes.
journey, right? We had, I mean, I remember it was just you, then I remember it was you and one other person in a small little office in the front, right? And then, but there was a point where I think, you tell me if I'm right, where you had to give yourself permission to take the next step, number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, kind of set parameters for what you were going to accept around you,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you had to kind of like Faith's earned every level that you've created.
Yeah, I've had some long, hard hours and days for many years.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, I'm gonna tee one up for you. When people say that there's not a system out there for you, right? I will point you to Faith, because Faith will create her own system,
I did.
right? So, you want to talk about that? How you just said, "Screw it, I'm gonna do my own thing with this," or?
As far as the team, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just kept asking all these different, like, how is yours structured? How do you pay? How do you treat people? That kind of thing. So I took bits and pieces from other people, and then in time I found, okay, this works and this doesn't. I don't like this, and then I trusted myself, you know, to guide me in the direction that worked for me and the people that I wanted to attract.
Yeah.
So that was a really helpful component of it. But it was a journey, and many times I wanted to give up, you know,
Yeah.
especially when I first started the team. I was like, forget it, it's more work than it's worth. I'm just gonna go back to me and an assistant. And I've been tempted many times. But for some reason I just pushed through, and then I started meeting the right people, and I just kind of let it come to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like Dave, I watch people all the time, and if I can see that they're, Angie and I were just talking about consistent, because I'm a very consistent person. I do the same thing over and over and over and over again, because it works.
Yeah.
And so if they're consistent and we need somebody, then I'm kind of open to that.
But even with like Google Docs, remember, and creating your own forms and systems like
yes,
that, like
yeah.
you didn't
My
wait.
checklist.
Exactly, like you didn't wait for the brokerage to provide it or Boomtown to provide it.
No.
You were like, I'm gonna make something that works for me,
Yes.
and you just jumped in and did it.
Yes, so we have some really cool searches. So we have a buyer packet that we send out right away. We have a whole system from the first time somebody calls us, and we send like an introductory email with a buyer packet, and then a little link in there that's called a home search link, and they click on it, opens up, and it says, welcome to fabulous Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it walks through a series of questions, not just about what they want, but who they are. Like, and what's your top 3 priorities in finding a home, stuff like that. Then we're scheduling the buyer consultation after they get pre-approved. And so many people love that. And it was a learning curve to get people to understand the importance of coming in for a buyer consultation at first. Because, you know, in the old days, I did like a lot of people do, You just like, yeah, you want to see a house? Okay, I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
And then in time, I was like, A, that's not very safe, and B, I noticed. Here's what I noticed. So when you're showing a first home, you're following them around and you're going, so do you have kids, blah, 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 and they're trying to look at the house. And what crossed the line for me was we were looking at a travel trailer. And the salesman was following us around. And he's like, oh, it has this many, gallon tank to hold the water and the sewer system, blah, blah. And I'm like, don't care until I know if there's enough beds for my kids.
Yeah.
So don't tell me all that stuff. And I went, oh my gosh, I do that to my clients.
Yeah.
So we have them come in for the buyer consult, and at the end I tell them, this is the icky part, it's the numbers, it's the facts, but it's very, very important because now you're going to be better educated to go out there when you find a home. You're not going to be shocked or feel like you're sideswiped by information that you didn't even know that you needed to know.
Well, you set the parameters and you took control.
And expectations.
Exactly, and that's what people, believe it or not, they want you to do that.
They do.
And a lot of people just don't do that. You have a question? I see you getting
No.
touchy over there.
No, I was with a friend that's looking for a home in California, and what I saw was we need to do a better job of what the neighborhood is. So you may look at this, he was looking at condos, so you see a condo, and you go, wow, it's cool, and it's this, and you go, well, what surrounds it? What is the neighborhood? Where do I go to a supermarket? What's the culture of the neighborhood by what's surrounding it? So I don't know how we're gonna achieve that in the future, but we really need to do.
Nobody ever listens to me. My wife doesn't listen to me, and if I was doing real estate, I would have these guys with me, and I'll give the freebie out. I would be doing video after video. If Summerlin was my area, I would be doing videos of downtown Summerlin, of all the places you eat, of all the places you go for drinks or video poker, the activities. I'd be at Red Rock, and I would be indexed on YouTube and all the social media, so regardless of where you were, you can get a feel for the community.
That's what I was saying.
Without even talking to me. Because I moved to Texas 8 years ago, and I was trying to figure that out myself without visiting it back and forth.
Yeah.
And no one had video on.
No, and I'll give you an example. So he found a condo we loved on Lime, and then the view was the top of the palm trees
In California.
in California, and that was about it. Well, when we went to the actual one he loved, the view of the top of the palm trees, that looked over a 10-lane highway.
Yeah.
So, would you rather know that I'd rather see it, know it.
Well, there are things.
Or you take the time to go see it.
Right.
There are things coming though. I can't give out any information on the MLS, but there is a tool coming that it's going to blow people's mind. That gives information like that. You're going to
I'll love it.
You're going to love it.
Also Google Earth.
Yes.
That's pretty handy.
I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word.
That's the other thing too. I think a lot of agents,
Yeah.
since we're talking about that, don't utilize. So even though I am no spring chicken, I still dove in and learned about technology and getting myself out there online. And a lot of people are afraid of it. But what you have to do is, if your clients are there, if they're on a certain website or whatever they're visiting all the time, I mean, you can fight City Hall or you can go where the people are.
Yep.
And you have to, and you can't be afraid of it. So get your profile on everything. And a big thing that people don't utilize is Google Business.
Yep.
I mean, and it doesn't even really cost anything.
I know.
That's a huge one.
But you treat your, if you think you're going to have the results that Faith has without working 40 hours a week.
40. It's better now, but no, I was getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning just to be able to catch up on emails and paperwork, and then showing all day, and then working till come back home, work till 9 or 10, and then back up and at it again for many years. So thankfully I don't have to do it quite that bad anymore.
I got a question for you. One, do you think winter is coming in the real estate industry as far as the market, or even disrupted?
Mm-hmm.
And if it is, if it's good, we're going to be disrupted as an industry, or the market's changing, how do you feel as someone who's prepared for it? Do you think you'll thrive in a market that's disrupted, or we're in winter? So a two-part question.
Well, I always just have this knowing I'm going to thrive no matter what.
Yep.
I'll just adapt. So I don't really have a fear about that. But I do have to make a little disclaimer. I never watch the news. The only time I stumble onto something that's happening in the world is if you tell me, or Facebook's on Facebook,
Yeah.
or somebody walks up and goes, "Did you hear about?" So
Yeah.
I never even listen to any of that. I don't really. I mean, you need to know it to a degree,
Yeah.
Right.
you know. But what you focus on expands.
Love it.
So I really don't even worry about that. I go with my gut feeling and with what I'm getting from people that I interact with. So I do have a lot of people, including my own oldest son who owns a home, and he started kind of buying into that. Oh, Mom, I've got equity. I want to sell my house. I want to pocket the money. I want to rent for a while till the market crashes, and then I'm going to buy it. I'm like, son. Okay, this is a once in a generation thing. How long from then to the Great Depression where my grandma had to live through, there was a big gap. And real estate, it ebbs and flows. It's normal, and you just roll with it. And yeah, we have a little increased inventory, but when I started real estate in '96, oh my God, what did we have? 10,000, maybe 12,000. The average time to sell back then was 3 to 4 months. Was your norm. I mean, you got a listing and you settled in.
Yeah.
So there's more choices for buyers. I think it's better right now because before it was grueling for buyers. That was ridiculous. You can't stay in that market forever. So just because it's chilling out and leveling out doesn't mean we're headed for a crash.
Right. And the median price is proving that, but it just went up again to 305. So I believe that the buyer could get a better deal now, but I don't see the word crash, anywhere in the future because the interest rates are so low.
Yeah, they're
And
crazy low.
the great part is we have so many buyers coming in, and that's where we're blessed, is that we have buyers for our houses.
So put you on the spot. Buyer's market, seller's market.
I call it a balanced market.
Woo! She just changed the game.
For you, yeah, not for me. I call it a buyer's market.
I am Switzerland. But you know what, though? The reason I'm calling it balanced is because if a listing agent does their job and not only markets their property properly, but prepares it before pictures. So I have painters, I have carpet guys, I have all these kinds of people. And if I walk in and it's looking all funky and they don't want to do anything, find another agent. Because you have to put your best foot forward. You have to have excellent pictures, no taking pictures with your cell phone, hire a professional photographer, run your comps, make sure you're on the money. If you do, I just had a listing, granted it had a lot of things people wanted, single story pool, RV parking, under 400,000. I got 5 offers. Value, and I was pushing a little bit at 395 because the recent comp was 392.5, but I knew it'd be probably a hot one. I went over months before, prepared her, said you got to move this, you got to do that. You go over ahead of time and make sure everything's off the counters, the pictures look good. And we got 5 offers, and we ended up at 411 in this market with appraisal waiver in this market. So if you do it right, now granted, I've got some tougher ones, where you get a 2-bedroom or a street behind or something like that. But still, it's the price, and it's just keeping in constant contact with those sellers that aren't moving and saying, okay, look. And I prepare them, this is where I think your value is, but the market's gonna tell us right away, because just because your value is there and that's what it can appraise for, doesn't mean that's what a buyer's willing to pay.
Right.
So if we're not getting a good response within 2 weeks or so, then we know, oops, we overpriced a little bit, let's adjust.
Yeah.
So it's just preparing them.
But I think the trick that you're talking about, because I laughed, I did a little giggle when you said, well, I went 25 over what my 2,500 over, when most sellers are gonna say, I want 20,000 over. But I think that what you did is prepare it, get it right, knew that your product, you quoted so fast, 1-story RV park and pool came right out of your mouth for under 400. So when something like that happens, I expect you to have multiple offers. Because it is something that doesn't happen, plus you prepped it to be at its prime. I'll use my son's analogy.
But she packaged it, positioned it, did good real estate work, had the expertise, communicated the message correctly, set expectations, put it under 400 rather than let it die over 400.
At 425.
Created excitement and then beg for 411 and beg for 400. You see, that's the difference of good real estate work versus bad real estate work. And that's when I go with the seller's market sometimes. The biggest issue in the market with sellers is that they think they have something that's worth more than what it is.
And during the really crazy market, that proved true. They got their price.
Which is not where we're at, right?
No,
But
we're
that's not where
And you've
we're
got to
at.
know your stats going in. Like, I'll rattle them off, you know, right away to sellers. Like, look, here's where we were 9 months ago. Here's where we are now.
Yeah.
It's a different market, so you have to be better. You have to present it prettier. And then again, I'm shocked at realtors who don't have their people. I mean, if in real estate, you gotta have people.
Yep.
And my contractors are excellent because I give them so much work that they give my clients really good pricing.
Yep.
And I call and they're like there. So you gotta have people.
Or
in
as
this
New Yorkers
business.
say,
I got a guy.
you gotta have a guy.
You
I
gotta
got
have a guy. Yeah, I've got a couple coming
Yeah.
up right now where like a lady, her mom died about just 2 weeks ago, so we have to go over, get rid of the stuff. I had all the people there during the listing presentation, so I'm not wasting her time because she's not here in Nevada. So here's my listing presentation. We're gonna meet from 1 to 2. Here comes the paint guys, here comes the floor guys. While I'm there, we're getting estimates. So it's just all
And that's
together.
why they choose you, because most agents would not coordinate what you just said you did. And if I were the seller, I'd be like, I'm overwhelmed, it's a death as it is. You're basically gonna list my house, you supplied the people, get it right and get me the highest price. How can I not go with you?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's about. It's about caring enough about the person and what they're already going through and just taking control and making their life easier. That's the goal.
I truly believe in the next 5 years, this market's gonna be violently disrupted. Violently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, uncomfortable for the vast majority of agents and real estate companies.
Mhm.
And I believe that the market will ebb and flow. And so you're gonna have issues with the market, you're gonna have issues with the industry. But if you do business the way Faith Harmer does, you will not be disrupted and you will thrive in any market. You are, when I say like Game of Thrones, winter is coming. You're ready like this, right? Like Jon Snow, ready to go at it.
Jon Snow.
And you will thrive. You have the dragons ready to deploy. Like, it's,
Pretty
you know
much.
what I mean? Like, but are you willing to do business and commit like this? I think a lot of people want it to come to them without doing the work and doing the right thing, which we talk about all the time. Here you are, you're doing the right thing over and over. You're taking care of the people that are on your team, and you're taking care of the people that you work with. So you're doing the right thing, but you're not afraid of the work either. And it's easy for us to say it and tell people to do it, but it's a whole different game to actually walk down that path. So,
It is. It's a lot of multitasking too and a lot of, organizing, but
It's a
once you got
commitment.
it down, you got it down.
That faith that we hired 5 years ago is unrecognizable compared to the faith that we have now.
No, she's still there.
I'm not saying, listen, the soul and the spirit is there,
Yeah.
but the confidence and the certainty, right? You
Yeah.
have evolved. You
Yeah.
keep shedding your skin and becoming a better version of yourself.
Yeah,
which
5
is-
years from now, it'll be even better.
It's been a pleasure watching it, that's for sure. Well, we had this was a wonderful interview. You're always good for.
Probably more off the wall than most.
No, I love it. I bet you the comments on this are gonna be fantastic.
Just remember, Faith, when you see and they say, oh, real estate agents are quirky, you know what I say? That's what makes us successful.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is not a job to work in a bank and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No.
We have to have that little bit of quirkiness to be successful in this business.
Absolutely.
And the best tagline in a real estate name ever. You gotta have faith. So
I sing it to
fantastic.
her every
Thank you.
day.
Buying or selling, you gotta have faith. And
Thank-
team.
Good
And
attitude.
team.
Give me a hug. Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
All right, thank you.
Doing it.
All
I
right, see
appreciate
ya.
it.
All right,
Cheers, brother.
see ya.
I'm gonna change batteries out real quick.
Okay.
Well, you gotta have faith.
That's great.
You gotta have faith, faith,
Um,
faith, baby.
So we're gonna wrap this up with some Italians that we absolutely love. Why don't we? How you want to do that?
Everybody circle to the
We're probably gonna have to move, yeah.
I've got it next to me.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna go down. Yeah.
You think you're about mine? So yesterday I was sitting somewhere and a girl said to me, do you have your on the seat?
Checking output.
And, yeah, and do you know that it's the #1 thing for having back problems is spine for a man? is your wallet in your back pocket.
Really? You sit on your wallet?
Yep.
I have it in my front. Are you gonna take one? I have coffee break, so I'm
I do
saving
too.
you. I put my wallet in my front because I don't want anyone stealing it from me.
So I moved it, and where did I put it back this morning? Right in.
When I drive, I put it in the front.
Oh, yeah?
Remove the white mug. It's just gonna block it.
White mug.
Don't be nice to him, someone move the white mug.
Phone in the right pocket, so I'll get cancer of the right quad. And the keys and the wallet in the left pocket, just the way I roll.
Are you left-handed?
No, so he's
I am.
left-handed. So I'm like bipolar. I'm both-handed.
I think there's another word for that, yeah. Ambidextrous.
Alright, we're ready whenever.
Bipolar is probably the better word.
So one of our favorite, if not our favorite partner, is from Bridge Home Inspection, Larry Perna and his boss, Nikki Perna. So it is a family affair here today. Guys, we've been pretty much holding hands doing this from the get-go, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The entire way,
yeah. 2012, I think.
which is when we started.
Yeah, I started at the end of 2012. She was still in high school, I think.
Yeah.
No, not then. That was the old
So,
company.
they're our go-to with home inspections. I mean, you guys gotta be doing probably 60 or 70% of our inspections on a monthly basis.
I'd
You're
say
just
more than that.
crushing it. So the way a home inspection works is when you buy a house, you have a due diligence period. For those of you who are out in the real estate game, you think after you negotiate the price, you're done. But if the most important, or if not the second most important part of this, is the inspection on the house. I always use the doctor metaphor, where it's like you're going in for a physical, and that's where you guys come into play, right? Like you want to get a physical and a blood test of what's going on with this house, and if there's more issues, then you send them off to a specialist.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a great analogy. In fact, it's even in our agreement. Our inspection agreement says, think of us like a general practitioner. We find some non-optimum result or something that's a red flag, then we'll want focused attention on that. So if the AC unit, for instance, is working, but it's not working properly, it's blowing out cool but not cold, we know that possibly it's got a dirty coil, it's low on freon, there's a leak somewhere, something like that. So we tell them that this is a general checkup.
Yep.
We're specialists, we're generalists, not specialists, and sometimes you gotta call in the big guns. Same thing with a roof.
Yeah, and you guys have to manage expectations well. That's what you guys do fantastically. Because there's a way to, I had one doctor who said to me, Dave, you need to get off gluten, you need to get off this, you're gonna have a heart attack at 50, right? And freaks me out, and I'm in a bad mood every time I leave the doctor. I have another doctor who's like, listen, you're 41 years old, here are the numbers, they're not bad yet, but you're at a fork in the road, you either need to take care of yourself, or you're gonna go in the other direction. Same conversation, much different. One gave me hope, like I have control, the other one ruined my whole life, and I just wanna go and eat donuts and make it worse, right? You guys are in the business of, you're either gonna give them some real conversation and maybe keep the deal going, or just kill the deal. Because there's a lot of deal-killing inspectors out there.
Well, we all need transactions, right?
Yeah.
And,
So-
and do it right. But I have a question. Nikki, what exactly do you do for the business?
What don't I do? I think it's a shorter list.
All right, but explain what you do
Yeah,
every day.
so answering the phones is one thing. We do have another girl that's in the office that's helping me with that. But really looking at the reports, so I review almost 100% of the reports. I think that it's helped me a lot because I can answer the phones and answer the questions of the agents versus getting my inspector to stop what he's doing on another inspection to be able to take these phone calls. So that's a big one.
And we always answer the phone.
You do?
Yeah,
Yes.
we always answer the phone. Like I said, we've got somebody there now. We've got it forwarded to a cell phone if we're not in. So reviewing the reports, answering the phones, adding the appointments, doing payroll, all the quarterly.
Yep.
So yeah, a little bit of everything, I would say.
Yeah.
Some people call and they're like, hey, my real estate agent gave me a list of a couple of places to call, and what do you guys do? and then she takes it from there.
And that's an important spot. You know,
Yeah.
we had a restaurant and we had a woman, and Dave was a busboy.
Judy.
And we had a woman.
What was Judy's last name, you remember? I don't remember.
Carnes, and at the front door, and she controlled that front door, and Dave used to say, she's so crabby, she's so bossy,
Well,
she's
she'd
so
be
that.
sitting people before I even cleaned the table. Like,
Right.
she was like,
But she was the heart. Before they taste our food, know that if Judy didn't take care of them, the rest went down from there. So it's critical on your end to start that, because if you can't explain and get them to
Right.
understand what you are, then they're really not gonna book
Yeah,
an
I always
appointment.
say if they call us, we're gonna book it, because it's not somebody in an attic that's answering questions really quick and throws a price out to them.
Right.
So if they call us, we let them know, you know, we include the infrared, we go on the roof, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to call.
oh,
And we do the new construction, so I try to kind of like let them know what sets us apart and how we can be of service to them versus like, yeah, it's $300, I gotta go in an attic.
yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Well, even if you get somebody to answer the phone, so.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember one time a new agent called, and she was speaking to Nikki, and I was right there, and she admitted to Nikki, like, hey, this is my first deal. You know, she's like, oh, I got you, girl, don't worry.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, no one has to know this is your first deal necessarily. I'm just gonna take you through. I said, you know, just follow the inspector if you'd like at the end, and she'll learn so much. And we've done so many deals where it was the first buyer transaction for an agent, and they come to me after the walkthrough, and they're like, wow, I didn't know what half of that stuff was, you know. And then they show up on the next one, and pretty soon you see them on the third deal, and they're the one explaining to the
Right.
Yeah.
buyer, you know, at the, you know.
And
so
for
usually-
us, for me especially, no one's perfect, and they'll say to me, oh, I had a problem with the inspection I didn't understand, or this broke later on, and I say, did you call Larry? And they're like, why is he on? I says, well, he didn't do, I said, call Larry. And you pick up the phone, you do everything humanly possible to explain it and fix it, and that's my thing for you. In other words, that I could say, call Larry, he is not gonna blow you away, he is gonna explain it. Half the time he goes to the damn house and looks at it and
He
fixes
goes
it if
above
he
it,
can.
sometimes too much.
But for
Yeah.
us, it means everything, and it's what no one does in today's world.
Yeah.
And it's a part that I'll love for our whole relationship.
Well, you've managed to grow without losing your soul and your identity, which is something that we had to look at, and that's when we made our cap on our agents. Like, if there's one thing that's been kind of the one thing that has been between you and us and Faith today was we've been able to stay consistent and keep who we are as part of it as we grow. Because I think that's when people lose it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were out on an ocean one, you know, and you're not a part of it, and then you're not a part of it, it's really hard to do it. Anyone who says that you can just passively do this, I don't think understands. Your business falls
No,
apart.
you have to be accountable,
Yeah.
for one. You've also taken an active role in the community in this trade. I'm the president of the Association of Home Inspectors. I've been on the
Nice.
board for years, and so as a master inspector, I have also some perks. I can train other people. I've trained, people would say, why would you train your competition? I said, well, because we have a responsibility as a, you know, why would you guys serve on the board?
Yeah.
Right? It's not paid. Why would
Oh,
you,
no.
you know?
No more. I'm down to my last 500. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so, I mean, so you have to, you want the whole industry. I don't want some brand new home inspector who just got licensed, who's never been on a job,
Yeah.
you know, writing some crazy stuff, right? So we offer ride-alongs. I go down to Key Realty. In fact, I have to go, is that tonight or tomorrow? At the last day of the class, the second class, I go down there, and there's 20 people I've never met,
Yeah.
and he gives me like a half an hour to talk to these guys, and we offer them to come to the meetings for free and get ride-alongs.
It's smart from
Yeah.
a lot of levels because they're gonna, whether you like it or not, they're gonna represent you and your profession. I mean, and that's what we were talking about in the beginning. What's so frustrating because we have a lot of people. And what I used to say when I would do the orientations for realtors is like, listen, now you represent all of us, and the worst realtor in this room is representing me.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
weak link of the chain.
You bet. So
Mhm.
there's a responsibility on that because we're all on. So it's very
Right.
intuitive of you to do that. And
How many inspectors do you have now?
11.
wow.
11. When we started, was it just
You
I
and
It was
Minerva.
me, and I think I was training Ray at
Ray,
the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So
11,
and
wow.
all of them have stuck. I mean, he jumped ship a long time ago, but
Right.
pretty much the same guys.
But your quality is yours. They got a lot of
Yeah, well,
inspections under their belt. They're fine.
15,000. We got 15. We're working on. We just broke 14,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next breakthrough will be 15,000. That should be this year.
15,000 inspections?
For
Yeah.
total.
I remember you were doing 250 a month.
Yeah. So now we're doing 400 a month.
Wow.
So we'll probably hit 4,000 for this year. But the key to that is long apprenticeships.
Yes.
But I picked up a seasoned inspector who's done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of inspections, got more gray hair than me,
Yeah.
and good inspector, lousy report writing.
Yeah.
So he worked for another company who did what we call a minimalist.
Yeah.
24 pictures.
Yeah.
24 pictures in the report. Like, we don't do business like that. You know?
You think you're just getting them and you can plug and play, but you gotta retrain. We get some agents from
Yeah, all the top
the
companies.
top companies and we think they're just gonna come in and maybe
Right.
they just wanna get a better split. And they're saying to us, we didn't get this training at Big Box Realty, national brand, and now
Yeah.
we're retraining them, right? And Georgia.
And they're
That's
shocked,
surprising.
and they're shocked that we do the training we do, being
Yeah.
100%.
Well, they're getting more commission and more
We do
training.
kind of a post-mortem too. Every quarter, we'll have a meeting, go to Marie Callender's, buy him breakfast, and we go through the issues. Okay, here's the top issues that came up. If you trip a GFCI in somebody's kitchen,
Yeah,
you can't leave the house unless you reset it.
yeah,
If it won't reset, you gotta call the listing agent or the sellers, and you gotta say, hey, this thing popped and it won't come back on, I didn't break it, we're obligated to test them, we have to.
well, it's doing that little extra. I mean, most people have no clue how to fix that, which is because they have no
Right.
clue about their house.
Mhm.
I tell you what, you wanna know the quickest way to learn about a house? Just rip it apart and start over. Now I know everything.
Well, that's not quick.
Yeah, I was
mean,
gonna
could-
say,
I'm
that's
like,
a little
rip down that
expensive,
wall,
too.
you know what I mean? Everything costs $2,500.
Well, my joke is always, where's the GFI? Like, it's in the garage, below the, and you go, what is the GFI? Like, my hallway GFI does my outside
Yeah.
lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's-
And I'm
makes no
like,
sense.
it makes no sense.
Well, they
so
did
it
it-
should all be done the same way.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that's just an example. It could be anything, right?
Yeah.
So years ago, I remember we had 3 times in a hot summer, somebody would say, hey, your guys left the AC set at 71 degrees or 69 degrees or whatever.
Yeah,
And so at way back, this was 10,000 inspections ago, we've made a rule. You don't drop the AC more than 3 or 4 degrees. You just need
Yeah.
it to kick on so you can test it. And I said, and at the end, what do you do at the end?
Closing video.
oh, nice.
So we do an opening video and a closing video in most cases, which is gonna go over, this is where the thermostat's at, these lights are off, this door is locked, it's not opening, all of the things that we get called and say, your inspector left it this
Oh,
way.
I love it, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way to cover your butt, because it's always your fault.
Right,
Right.
so an exit video, and then the first call is to you guys, like complaining. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, no, we're covered.
Alright, so to reach Larry and Nikki, I mean, the Bridge Home Inspection is so simple. It's 702-722-2222.
That's right.
702-722-2222. It's simple. They will take care of you. Our agents love them. One more thing, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Buyer's market or a seller's market? Or better?
I still think it's a buyer's market because we've got super low interest rates and we don't have, we have certainly more houses than we used to have on the market, but still, how many months of inventory do we have?
2.5?
Yeah,
Max.
so
Still buyers.
to me, that's the definition of a buyer's market still. Now, is it different than it was 3 months ago? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure it is. Did we see a leveling off in, the second week of September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were sprinting since April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My guys are like, thank God, I don't have 3 jobs today, you know?
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Same?
Yeah, I think so, and we're still seeing new construction,
Yeah.
which we are one of the few companies that hold enough insurance to do those. So we're doing multiple a week, new construction
Nice.
inspections.
I recommend it so many times to the
Yeah.
agents and say, let them go from phase 1 to finish
Mhm.
and get the quality product.
I was at Reverend's yesterday.
Yeah.
If I built a couple new houses, I've worked with a lot of workers lately. If you see who's building your house and level or the the lack of craftsmanship out there and expertise, you definitely 100% want to get a home inspection on a brand new home.
You
You, in
bet.
some cases, will have a better home inspection on a used home than you will on a new home. Would you, in some cases?
In some cases, for sure, you know, the stuff that we could find on a new build, I mean, overall, in general, the builders do a really good job.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna get your home inspected and there's 15 other houses on that street that are not getting inspected, it's human nature for the superintendent to maybe put a little bit more emphasis on your house when he knows that your independent inspector is gonna be there in a couple
Yeah.
hours.
I agree. Agreed.
Well, thanks for waiting and thanks for coming.
Yeah.
We really
Thanks for
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having us.
And I'm gonna walk out with them.
Let's-
but I gotta go.
You want to just say goodbye?
Goodbye, so long, farewell.
All right, that's all we got for you today on the Dave and Dave Show, episode 53. We'll see you next week.
I'm a running.
Take care.
See you over there.